So this is another load chart for another manual forklift. With here what makes this load chart different from the previous one is that this time around we've been giving the load capacity chart if an attachment should be there should be an attachment on the forklift. So this is the capacity of the forklift when there's no attachment on it. And so just like we read the previous one, having a load center of 500, these are the capacity at a lift height of 3,700. Here we see that for the line 1 up to a height of, they didn't indicate what height is. So we can't assume any height over there. So we realize that on the graph line 1, there are no capacity there. So now we are trying to determine the capacity of a forklift for the height of 3,700. So if I have a load center of 500 at a height of 3,700, my capacity is 3,000 kg. Now if I'm having an attachment if I'm working with a forklift attachment, maybe a forklift extension, maybe a rotator, maybe a grabber. Now this will be the attachment chart that I'll use. Now every manufacturers would have a capacity chart for their various attachments. So some of them will tell that based on this attachment, this is the chart that you are supposed to use. So one mistake that most forklift operators do is that they use the same chart for every attachment that they are using, whether they are using extensions, whether they are using grabbers, whether they are using rotators. They are using the same attachment capacity chart for them, which is wrong. That is where most of the mistakes come from. Because when you have attachments on your forklift, first and foremost, the attachments add extra weights to the forklift. And again, the operation of the forklift, like maybe a forklift that has a side shifter. The side shifter helps you move the load left and right. Shifting the load to the right side is taken out of its line of symmetry, and that's going to affect the capacity of the forklift. So these are things that have to be considered whenever you are reading your forklift load capacity chart. Make sure that you are reading from the right capacity chart. Okay, this is another chart for a Toyota forklift truck. So here as well, they decide to represent their forklift load capacity chart in this way, where over here we see the E. So we see a symbol like the fork, and this is like the mats, and these are the ties. So it says that from the face to the fork, that's where we are representing E. So whatever we see in this table, this is the chart that we are reading to determine the capacity of our fork. So A represents our load centers. Then B is also our load center from the face of the fork. So now he is also considering the height of how high the load is on top of the forks. So if the load is very tall, then he's telling the capacity chart that you are supposed to use. So that's also another load center, but this time around not from the face of the forks, but not from the face of the carriage, but from the face of the forks down up. So that's what B represents. Then C represents our lift height. How high are we lifting our loads? How high are we lifting our loads? So that's what our C represents. So we see that over here, if we should have a load where we are a load with a load center, let's say the load that we are picking as a load center of 24 inches, that will be 600 mm. 24 inches, 600 mm. At a lift height, that means that we are taking it to a height of, let's say, 4,800 or 189 inches. The capacity, that means that we should not exceed the capacity of 4,500 pounds or 2,550 kilograms. So the capacity chart tells us the maximum weight that we can pick. So it tells us that at a load center of 24 inches, at a height of 189 inches, the maximum weight that we can pick should not exceed 4,500. If we have a load center of 30 inches, that means that the load that we are picking is longer from the face of the forks. That's around 760 mm. And at a height of 189 inches, that's 4,800 mm. The maximum weight that we can pick is 1,750 kg or 3,950 pounds. So we can determine our load capacity of our forklift based on the three main factors. The load center. So what is the load center of the load I'm going to pick? How high am I taking the load? Then based on those things, I take these two parameters, come to the chart and find the maximum weight that I'm allowed to pick. So that is how we read the load capacity charts, on our forklift. Thank you very much.